Guess who's back? Okay,
Hello.
guess who's back?
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Welcome. Relax. Take a deep breath. You are in the right place. Today we are talking about something very common, something that almost everyone feels. Why you freeze when you try to speak English. Maybe this has happened to you. You know the words, you understand when you read, you understand a little when you listen. But when it's time to speak, your mind goes blank. Your heart beats faster, and suddenly, you freeze. And you ask yourself, why does this happen to me? Let me tell you something very important. This does not mean you are bad at English. This does not mean you are not intelligent. And this does not mean you cannot learn. This happens because your brain is trying to protect you. Yes, protect you. Your brain is afraid of making mistakes, afraid of sounding wrong, afraid of being judged. So it stops you. It freezes you. And this is completely normal. Many people think the problem is vocabulary. Others think the problem is grammar. But most of the time, the real problem is fear. Fear of speaking imperfect English. Let me ask you something. When you learned your first language, did you speak perfectly? Of course not. You made mistakes. You repeated words. You spoke slowly. And no one stopped you. But with English, you want to be perfect from the first sentence. And that pressure blocks your mind. That is why you freeze. Now listen carefully. This is very important. Fluency does not come from thinking. Fluency comes from repetition, from hearing English again and again, from speaking without translating. Most people freeze because they translate in their head. They think in Spanish, then they look for the English word, then they check the grammar, then they worry about pronunciation, and by that time, the moment is gone. So your brain says, stop, and you freeze. The solution is not to think more. The solution is to think less. You don't need perfect sentences. You need simple sentences, short sentences, easy sentences. For example, instead of trying to say, I would have liked to go there if I had more time, just say, I want to go. I like it. I don't understand. Simple is powerful. And the more you repeat simple English, the more natural it becomes. Your brain starts to recognize patterns, not rules, patterns. That's how children learn. And that's how adults learn too. But adults add fear. So today, I want you to do something different. I want you to listen. I want you to relax. And I want you to let English enter your mind slowly. No pressure, no rush. You don't need to answer. You don't need to repeat out loud if you don't want to. Just listen. Your brain is learning, even if you don't feel it. Right now, you are learning English. And that is enough for this moment. We will continue talking about this. We will go deeper. We will explain how to break this fear and how to start speaking naturally, little by little. So let's continue calmly. No rush, no pressure. Right now, you don't need to speak. Right now, you just need to listen. Listening is powerful. Listening is how your brain prepares to speak. Many people think speaking comes first, but speaking comes after listening. Think about music. Before you sing a song, you listen to it many times. Your brain learns the rhythm, the sound, the flow. Language works the same way. When you listen to English regularly, your brain starts to feel what sounds right. Not because you studied rules, but because you heard it many times. That's why repetition is so important. If you freeze when you speak English, it doesn't mean you are failing. It means your brain needs more exposure, more listening, more familiar sounds. That's why this kind of audio helps you. You don't need to understand every word. You don't need to stop and analyze. Just let the words pass through your mind. Some words will stay, others will disappear. And that's okay. Learning is not about control. Learning is about trust, trusting the process, trusting your brain. Your brain already knows how to learn a language. It has done it before. The only difference now is that you are older, and fear is louder. But fear can be trained. When you listen without pressure, fear becomes weaker, little by little. Now imagine this. You are in a real conversation. Someone speaks to you in English, and instead of freezing, you hear familiar sounds. Not perfect, but familiar. And your mouth moves naturally. Not fast, not perfect, but natural. This doesn't happen in one day, and that's okay. Progress doesn't need to be fast. Progress needs to be consistent. 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Listening, relaxed, calm. That is how confidence grows. Not by forcing yourself, not by judging yourself, but by allowing yourself to learn. Now, let me say something very important. You do not need to think in English all the time. That will come later. First, you feel English. You recognize sounds, you recognize patterns. Then, speaking becomes easier because your brain is no longer afraid. Right now, you are training your brain to stay calm with English, and that is a big step, bigger than you think. So keep listening, keep breathing. English is not something you fight. English is something you absorb. And right now, that is exactly what you are doing. Let's continue calmly. Stay with me. By now, you may notice something. Your mind feels a little more relaxed. That is not an accident. When pressure disappears, learning begins. Freezing when you speak English is not a permanent problem. It is a temporary reaction. A reaction created by fear, by expectations, by the idea that you must be perfect. But perfection is not the goal. Communication is. English is not about sounding smart. English is about being understood. And you don't need perfect grammar to be understood. You need clarity. You need intention. That's all. When you speak slowly, when you use simple words, people understand you. And every small success builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come before speaking. Confidence comes from speaking. Even with mistakes, especially with mistakes. Every time you try, your brain learns something new. Every time you listen, your brain prepares the next step. That is why consistency matters more than speed. Some days you will feel progress. Other days you will feel stuck. Both are part of learning. Remember this. Feeling stuck does not mean you are not moving. It means you are building something quietly. And one day, you will speak. Not perfectly, but comfortably. And you will realize something important. You were never bad at English. You were just afraid. And now, that fear is slowly fading. So keep listening. Keep practicing. Keep trusting yourself. English is not your enemy. English is a skill. And skills grow with time. You are doing the right thing, at the right pace. And for today, that is more than enough. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Take care, and we'll talk again very soon.